that's okay, 'cause I do it so well. All my friends take good care of me. Wherever I go, they bring me home when I got no place to be. All my friends take good care of me. They're on my side as far as I can see.
And welcome to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. It's always a great scene here in Pittsburgh, and the Spanish language broadcast available tonight on Fox Deportes. How about a little Throwback Thursday and a young Vance McDonald looking up to his hero. I asked him for his wristband, and he told me no. And I just remember being like, man, that stinks. Because the guy, he was like my hero. That's young Vance McDonald on the right, and that's the great Troy Aikman on the left, crushing one young man's dream on that day.
I'm not sure why he didn't get a wristband, but he did get an autograph, you know, and hey, you can't have it all, right? I mean, he got an autograph. We got a picture that documents that. I'm going to send him a wristband next week.
Okay, good. You can't have it all, but right now the Panthers are having it all with Cam Newton. Statistically awesome. Great start to this season here in 2018.
He's playing really, really well, and I think that Norv Turner's come in and he's implemented a scheme that has taken advantage of some of the things that Cam Newton has been doing. They've added a few more wrinkles to it. Clearly, the passing attack has been a big part of the success that they're having offensively, and they're playing with a great deal of confidence. And even Cam Newton has talked about that. And this Carolina team, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are as well, but two teams that are really hot right now. Should be a great game.
Well, it's a great scene here in Pittsburgh where the Steelers have gone through 3 divisional opponents. They've won 4 straight overall, and they walk into this game in the top spot in the North in the AFC. And we're glad you're with us tonight. Pittsburgh won the toss. They defer. Carolina will receive. So we'll see Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey on this 41-degree night right out of the gate. And we'll see Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey and the offense from the 25. Cam Newton, a career, if you round up, 59% completion percentage. He's at 67%. That's by far his career high. And you see what he's done over his last 3 games. The touchdowns, no interceptions, and the quarterback rating is through the roof.
I think a lot of people want to know why the completion percentage is up so high, why his efficiency has been as good as it's been. It's not one simple answer. I will say the offensive line has come together, but he's got some really solid skill players, starting with Christian McCaffrey, who can create separation.
And here he is, Christian McCaffrey over the left side, and they'll give him 4 yards to start his night. You mentioned the changes up front with the offensive line. They're waiting for Matt Khalil to get healthy and come back. He's been on IR with a knee injury. You see where they rank offensively. And Chris Clark has solidified things at left tackle, the backs and receivers. They got a lot of speed. They're very versatile. That might be redundant. I'm not sure. 2nd down and 6. Here is McCaffrey, full head of steam out across the 40 to the 41, where Sean Davis stops him, and that was a gain of 12.
Well, they just have one guy here who's going to try to play this. They got to play Christian McCaffrey as well as Cam Newton, and nobody comes off and scrapes to take care of McCaffrey, and that's a huge hole.
Over the middle, pass is caught on 1st down. It's to Jarius Wright, who gets the start tonight, a gain of 7. And we'll see how this Pittsburgh defense gets along. It's number 12 in the National Football League, and they've been very good against the run, especially lately. 2nd and 3. McCaffrey, another first down. Another big run. And it's the rookie Terrell Edmunds on the stop. A gain of 21 for Christian McCaffrey.
Well, the Steelers are playing a 2-deep coverage, and then you've got the one guy once again who has to try to make a play, and they're shorthanded. They're splitting those wide receivers out wide. They're creating some space, and right now the Pittsburgh Steelers just do not have an answer for those last 2 runs to McCaffrey.
And he's got 3 on this first possession for 37 yards.
You start cheating that safety down now.
Here he is again, and this time a gain of 2. And Stephon Tuitt is in there for the stop. Here are the numbers defensively for Pittsburgh. And the questions really have been in the secondary. They're good up front. They've got athletic linebackers led by second-year pro T.J. Watt, but they've had some changes in that secondary, and I think Mike Tomlin is most satisfied with that group at this point in the year.
I think he feels good about the way that this defense has trended, because like you mentioned a moment ago, they really came out of the blocks struggling.
Pass is incomplete. Olsen was close enough to it to avoid grounding, and that'll bring up 3rd down and 9. This is a Carolina offense that has had no points on their first drive since week 2, when they had a field goal in Atlanta, and no touchdowns in 10 straight. They're in field goal range, and there's Ron Rivera, who's been able to guide his team into the postseason 4 times over the last 5 years. Quarterback draw. A yard short of a first down. L.J. Fort on the stop, a gain of 8. It's 4th down and 1, and we'll see how the Panthers want to play it here early.
Hey, what? That's some of the stuff that you can do with Cam Newton, as we know, that you wouldn't even think of a quarterback draw in that type of situation, or at least a quarterback taking on a linebacker. But Cam Newton at 250 pounds. A hard man to get to the ground, and I like this decision here by Ron Rivera going for it here on 4th and 1.
4 for 7 on 4th down this season is Carolina. McCaffrey gets it and gets it. A first down. Sensabaugh on the tackle, a gain of 2. You know, he's got the nickname Troy of Riverboat Ron. We always seem to reference that, but since 2011, when he took over, he's gone for it only 87 times on 4th down. That's the 2nd fewest across the NFL. He goes for it here, and he gets it on 4th and 1.
I think Ron likes to go for it in big games and on primetime television. I think that's why he got the nickname.
What you got?
They've only thrown it twice, run it 6 times. Here's McCaffrey, full head of steam. McCaffrey, touchdown. Christian McCaffrey able to get it in. And on that little throw, a 20-yard completion laid out there perfectly by Cam Newton, and a touchdown for McCaffrey, his 3rd receiving of the year.
Well, good design, and then you got Vince Williams here, linebacker. He's the one who has to try to run with Christian McCaffrey and make him come underneath because of the slant route in behind it by Funchess, and then Christian McCaffrey is able to get a step, and it's just no opportunity whatsoever in that man coverage. A great design play by Norv Turner.
So they had gone 10 straight games without an opening drive touchdown. Christian McCaffrey 60 yards and a score on their first possession. What a start for Carolina on a Thursday. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. We're at Heinz Field, home of the Steelers, home of the first place Steelers, at 5-2-1. Christian McCaffrey, coming off a big game against the Bucs, had 157 scrimmage yards. He's now got his 5th touchdown over the last 4 games and was all over that first possession. As now we'll see the Steelers from their 25 back to the touchdown.
You go back and you see Devin Funchess cut split, how he's going to run the slant, and what that does then to Vince Williams, the linebacker. He's got to go underneath that route by Devin Funchess, and once he goes underneath with Christian McCaffrey's speed, he's beat, and it makes it real easy. And Norv Turner does an outstanding job of making the quarterback position very friendly within his scheme, and he's anticipating man coverage. They get it, and an easy play.
From the 25, Roethlisberger pulls it back, throws, has Juju Smith-Schuster. What a start to the night. One play, bang, touchdown Steelers. $75 yards to number 19. How about that answer?
See James Bradbury out there, 24. The way they designed that route, he's the outside corner, and he is not expecting Juju Schuster to continue up the sideline. Bradbury throttles down, and then Juju Smith-Schuster is just right in behind him for the touchdown.
Touchdown in 11 seconds, tied at 7. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. Our buddy, Terry Bradshaw, who is bedrock for us at Fox Sports. How about that quick answer by the Steelers?
James Washington on a hitch route here. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's running that route, and then you've got James Bradbury, who is going to jump this hitch route, but this is just simply 3 deep zone coverage, and Captain Munnerlyn, he had James Washington taken care of, but because Bradbury had his eyes in the backfield and with the little pump action there by Ben Roethlisberger, Smith-Schuster is able to get in behind it for a big play, and that's some of the lapses that we've seen from this Carolina defense throughout the season.
Bradbury coming off a great game against the Bucs and Mike Evans on Sunday. Here's Samuel on the return, and a flag is thrown after Samuel crosses the 30. Sutton with the tackle, and we'll hear for the first time from Walt Coleman.
During the return, holding number 56, return team, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Against Jermaine Carter. So as we look at this penalty, that costs a good return and a good call. It's going to mark the ball all the way back at the 12. It took Carolina 4.5 minutes to go 75 yards. It took Pittsburgh 11 seconds to go 75 yards, and we're back where we started. 10-13 remaining in the first quarter. Penalty cost 21 yards of field position. Newton keeps, he's in trouble, throws up for grabs and picked. Intercepted by Williams, touchdown. Vince Williams with pressure by T.J. Watt.
Now, Joe, it looked like they're running this boot towards T.J. Watt. He's not fooled, but it looked to me like they might be trying to run some type of screen action back the other way as linemen are pulling out to that direction. And I don't know if he thinks he might be able to throw one into Christian McCaffrey or not, but obviously under duress, a ill-advised throw and a costly mistake by Cam Newton.
snap, great hold, and it's a 7-point Steeler lead as they put up 2 touchdowns in 13 seconds. Jordan Berry, the punter, with a good hold. And Vince Williams has his first pick, and it leads to a touchdown. Here's a short message from Target. It was pressured by Watt. He got to Cam Newton, and Newton unleashed it from the end zone and threw it to Vince Williams for the touchdown. Here are tonight's players to watch, presented by Target. And the 2 main running backs. Christian McCaffrey, he's got a touchdown already in this game on the left. We haven't seen anything from James Conner through no fault of his own. There's been 1 play from scrimmage offensively for Pittsburgh, and then the defensive score. What James Conner has done has been remarkable, and we'll get into that as he has taken full advantage of the opportunity given him by the holdout by Le'Veon Bell.
Well, that play there by Cam Newton, that's one of the things that this Carolina team has done a great job of, is protecting the football. Had not turned the ball over in the last 3 games. Cam Newton has done a good job of protecting it. Over 120 attempts without an interception, but under duress, pressure, sometimes you do bad things.
Another look.
Well, TJ Watt, you're going to see him and the job that he does of coming off the edge and just staying home and applying all the pressure. And like I said, couldn't tell exactly if they were trying to set up a screen back the other way or not. But for Vince Williams to be able to make a play on the ball like that, you called it. It's his first interception of the season, and they've got some versatility with those linebackers. Vince Williams and Bostic, they're going to play a fair amount tonight because of the run game by Carolina, yet it's the interception where he makes the play on the ball.
Here's McCaffrey, gets 2. Brought down by Hargrave. We've seen 3 touchdowns, and we just dipped under 10 minutes left in the first quarter.
Well, pretty demoralizing for Carolina. You take the opening kickoff and you put together a good drive and you come away with a touchdown, and all of a sudden 1 play later it's scored, and then the next play it's 14-7 on the road.
10th career pick 6 against Cam Newton, and as Troy said, their first turnover in a while. 3 straight without. 2nd and 8. Timeout at the play clock at 1. We'll be right back after this from Progressive. So now 2 timeouts left for Carolina. Christina Pink, big play made there by TJ Watt.
Yeah, this offseason, TJ Watt switched back to the left side at outside linebacker, his natural position. He told me in warm-up, it's so much more natural to me. I'm a right-hand dominant player. I can diagnose the play quicker and read the quarterback's eyes. He said it's allowed him to be much more dominant, Joe.
Here's more pressure. Dupree couldn't bring down Newton, and Newton just throws it out of bounds. Funchess the closest one to it, but Bud Dupree, who switched to the other side when TJ Watt flipped sides, comes from the defense's right.
Yeah, there he is, number 48, and you're right, Joe. The fact that TJ Watt, as Christina was pointing out, that he's playing on the left side, it's meant that Bud Dupree gets to play the right side, which is where he's most comfortable. So it's worked out well, and we've seen the results of that, and he's able to come off the edge and get after Cam Newton there.
3rd down and 8. Blitz off the edge. Newton steps into it. Incomplete for DJ Moore. And Newton under pressure yet again. Sensabaugh back there defending for the Steelers.
Yeah, there was pressure in Cam Newton's face, and DJ Moore, he runs those dig routes awfully well at about 18 yards, but Cody Sensabaugh, he sat on it and do a good job of making a big stop there on 3rd down.
Pilardi hits a knuckler, takes a couple of hops. Switzer on the return gets spun down at the 39 by Colin Jones. Well, the Steelers get it back, up by 7. Settle in. Going to be interesting. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Aerial coverage is brought to you by State Farm. Steelers get it for the second time on offense. They had the 75-yard completion to Smith-Schuster. Their only play from scrimmage offensively. Previous long that Carolina had allowed defensively. The 57-yard touchdown pass from Odell Beckham to Saquon Barkley. First weekend of October. Here's a quick throw. Antonio Brown looking for a block. Got one, and on first down picks up 7. Well, Ben's been doing it for a long time, and he has proven his toughness over the years. He's playing with a fractured finger on his left hand, his index finger. The numbers in his career against the NFC.
5-9.
And overall, 16 touchdowns, 7 picks this season. Only sacked 2 times over the last 4 games during the win streak. And here's Antonio Brown with a first down for Pittsburgh. Eric Reed out there to force him out. And we look at this offense. This offensive line, Troy, as you look at where they rank, I think has to go down as one of the most underrated offensive lines in the NFL.
Well, I would agree. In fact, in watching them and getting ready for this game, I'm not so sure that they're not the best offensive line in football. They do an awfully good job coming off a huge game last week against the Baltimore Ravens, and there are times when nobody was within 5 yards of Roethlisberger.
Here's a toss to Smith-Schuster from Switzer. Out of bounds with another first down. Big chunks of yardage for the Steelers on offense, a gain of 13.
You see the movement here and what it does to a defense, and you see more and more of this around the league, and making the defense defend the entire field, the entire width of the field, and it makes linebackers react. They get flowing one direction, the ball's coming back the other way. Something we saw a lot of from Carolina last week against Tampa Bay, and the Pittsburgh Steelers pull one out of that same playbook, and a nice gain to Juju Smith-Schuster.
And a big smile on the face of Marquise Pouncey. Here's Connor getting it running right. First time he handles the ball in this game, a gain of 3. And as you look at this defense for Carolina, they're number 11 overall, 8th against the rush. And up front, they still feature the ageless Julius Peppers, the 9-time Pro Bowler. Best linebackers in the NFL, you would have to say, as a group. And the secondary features that rookie Dante Jackson.
Well, fast linebackers, arguably the 3 fastest linebackers in football, and that's why some of that misdirection stuff works so well.
Here's Connor, picks his way for a first down. Troy, James Conner is one of the easiest players to root for in the NFL. He has been through a lot. McDowell High School, Erie, Pennsylvania, due north of here. Class of 2013. Went to Pitt. Diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2015. Cancer-free in 2016. Had a big senior year. And drafted in the 3rd round by the Steelers. He's setting records here to start the season. He gets it after a drop on the snap by Big Ben, and Connor is to the 15, a gain of 7.
James Conner, of course, getting his opportunity with Le'Veon Bell still holding out, and this was a young man who the Pittsburgh Steelers obviously knew very well, coming from the University of Pittsburgh. They share the same training facility. They watched him go through his cancer treatments and how he had to deal with that. He's been a pleasant surprise, and he is a complete football player. He's fun to watch. Not a lot of wasted movements in what he does.
Here he goes. Connor inside the 5 to set up 1st and goal. He's the first in NFL history, Troy, with 4 games of 100-plus yards rushing, 50-plus yards receiving and a touchdown in 4 separate games, and he's knocking on the door again.
Yeah, great blocking up front by that offensive line. And like I say, you know, he's not as patient a runner as Le'Veon Bell, but he can certainly hit it. And he's got excellent quickness. Put it on display on that last run.
Here he is, up the middle for the touchdown. His 10th rushing touchdown of the season and 11th overall.
Well, the right side, Matt Filer, 71. He's starting again. And then you got Jesse James there, 81. And even with the contact prior to getting to the goal line, Connor shows some of his power.
Alejandro Villanueva, the left tackle for the Steelers, said about James Conner, he runs like he's faced death. That young man has been through a lot, and he is a star now in the NFL. 21-7, Pittsburgh. Well, think about what's happened already. The Steelers have possessed the ball for less than 3 minutes. They've put up 21 points, 7 from their defense. And the Steelers came into this game with 26 total first quarter points before tonight, and they didn't even take the opening kickoff. They kicked it away. Carolina scored 21 cents for the Steelers. Back to the 25 it goes. Dwayne Haskins and number 10 Ohio State look to keep their playoff hopes alive in a showdown with Michigan State on Saturday at 11:30 Eastern. Then number 19 Texas takes on Texas Tech at 7:30 Eastern. College football kicks off Saturday on Fox. Watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app. You get the feeling Carolina better come up with an answer here quick.
You sure do on really both sides of the ball. But when the defense is giving up 2 touchdowns on 2 offensive possessions, and then you start saying, if you're Cam Newton, Norv Turner, and Ron Rivera, saying, man, we've got to get it going right now. Our defense has got some holes.
Another sack, more pressure on Newton. And it's Williams who already has a touchdown in the game. Vince with a sack and a loss of 8.
Vince Williams, here he is on the blitz. Christian McCaffrey, he goes low, and it has no impact on him. And then just a straight shot to Cam Newton. These defensive coordinators, they do a great job of breaking down protections and knowing where the mismatches are. And Vince Williams, with Christian McCaffrey trying to block him, just no match.
6'1", 233, taking on a back 5'11", 205. Here's McCaffrey able to bust out of there out to the 30. And after the loss of 8 on the sack, a run of 13 yards. And by the time Sean Davis brought down McCaffrey, it brings up 3rd and 5.
Yeah, 2nd and long, and you're able to come back and hand the ball to McCaffrey and make this a very manageable down. And that's a nice luxury to have. Trey Turner, number 70, he helps lead the way. And after that loss, to make it a 3rd and 5.
Newton steps through, stops, and finds Funchess for the first down. Maybe a little bit of a different look for Cam Newton. I think in years past he's gone running. Instead he stops and finds Funchess downfield.
I think he was kind of halfway in between what he wanted to do. As you're going to see, it was such an awkward throw when he came and made the decision to go ahead and turn it loose. I think he was a little indecisive as to whether or not he had crossed the line of scrimmage. But yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I mean, typically in the past when he is broken through, there's no question he's going to continue to keep the football, but he makes a nice play.
McCaffrey gets it, tries to get to the edge. Nice little spin move and turned what could have been a loss after getting around TJ Watt into a 3-yard gain.
So he's awfully slippery, and they came into the season talking about getting him the ball 25 to 30 times a game between rushing attempts and pass completions, and he's only averaged, I say only, about 20 per game. People always worry about, is he going to be able to hold up? You mentioned his measurements, he's not small, he's just short. But he carried the ball a lot in college, and he wants more of the workload than what he has gotten, and he may very well get what he wants tonight.
2nd and 7. Olsen makes the catch inside the 40. Old reliable Greg Olsen, good for 13. Sensabaugh brings him down.
He has such a good feel, you know, in these zone coverages and where he needs to be and the landmarks that he needs to hit. And of course, Cam Newton has total confidence in him. He's a big target. Remember last year he missed 9 games, and then he got injured early in the season, week 1. He missed 3 weeks, and you know, his foot is still not right, and he's playing through quite a bit. Talked to him before the game. Certainly less than 100%, but he's still been productive.
Newton in trouble. Down he goes again. Chased behind, and it's Cam Hayward. But he wasn't alone. A loss of 5.
Really good coverage down the field by Pittsburgh, and just not many places then for Cam Newton to go with the football. And of course, then the protection up front collapses on him. This is not a defense, as we know, with Tuitt, Watt, Hayward. You're going to have to hang in there and take some shots to get the ball down the field, and just hope that your protection is going to hold up more than it has so far.
Again, they hand to McCaffrey after a sack, and this time he is stopped with a gain of just 3. And with the first quarter winding down, Vince Williams, who's been all over the place, made that last tackle. It'll be 3rd and long to start the second quarter. What a beginning for the hometown Steelers here tonight. The great Steve Smith, as we welcome you back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. Steve is on site tonight for NFL Network.
Guy who came into the league when I first got into broadcasting. He was brought in as a return guy and just made himself into one heck of a receiver, one of the most competitive players to ever put on a uniform, and a guy who I thoroughly enjoyed watching play.
3rd down and 12 here for Carolina. Newton throws, Funchess incomplete. Cam kind of backpedaling as he let that pass fly, and it's 4th down.
Well, Cameron Hayward once again. Greg Van Roten, he's the left guard, and he gets tossed, and that's why Cam Newton's not able to hang in the pocket and deliver the football. Had he have been able to, that was a nice route, and he would have had a chance to complete that pass. So this pass rush by the Steelers clearly having an impact here early in this game.
Delay game is the call, and the
Delay of the
Steelers
game.
decline it.
Offense, that penalty is declined. 4th down.
Ron Rivera in his 8th season. 7 years prior to this season, 3 NFC South titles. End over end punt. And it is down inside the 10. Well played by Curtis Samuel downfield. And the Steelers will start up 14 inside their 10, and we'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Verizon. Time Le'Veon Bell was named All-Pro. He had 1,086 yards from scrimmage through 8 games. James Conner is number 2 in the league this year with 1,085 yards from scrimmage. 1 yard difference between the two through 8 games. Conner still has to prove that he can do it through a full season. There was a report earlier today that ownership for the Steelers expects Le'Veon Bell to report this week. He has to do it by Tuesday as Conner, right on cue, bounces to the outside and picks up 15 yards and a first down. I'll ask you, Troy, how you think Le'Veon Bell, if he does report, sign his deal, he comes in second half of the season. You've seen the quotes like I have by some of the guys, offensive linemen even, with David DeCastro, how you think he's going to be welcomed back if he does come back here this late.
Well, that's a good question, and you know, these locker rooms are tight, and this is an offense and a team that has begun to roll, and so I don't think Le'Veon would just be rolled out there as the starter right away. And you know, Conner has earned the right to start. He's earned the right to play.
Here's the fullback Nix with a nice catch, and then delivers a hit, picks up 11 as he went through Thomas Davis to get a first down.
I think your point is very well taken, though, Joe, when you consider what James Conner has done in those numbers compared to a guy like Le'Veon Bell, who is just exceptional and can do so many things. Can James Conner do that over a long period of time? That's the question. And James Conner is not as explosive as Le'Veon Bell. He doesn't present some of the same challenges as a receiver as Le'Veon Bell. I think they had both.
Here's Ridley on first down, fighting for a couple.
I think they'd both complement each other very well. And if you're Randy Fichtner, the offensive coordinator, in his first season in that role calling the plays, you'd like to have both of them and let that be his problem as to how they're going to get utilized.
I remember games we've done in the past where you've talked about Bell and his abilities to run routes. He could be a Pro Bowl receiver. Forget running back / receiver.
Really gifted, and you talk to those who have been around with him and worked with him, and that's what they would tell you, that he is such a gifted athlete.
Right here, 5-9.
It's going to be interesting to see how all that unfolds.
Second down and 8. Here's Nix with his second catch on this possession. Came in with 1 catch this season, has 2 on this possession. Third and short coming up. Aaron, I know you talked to Luke Kuechly about what Le'Veon Bell presents for a defense.
Well, actually about what James Conner does, and you guys know how much time Luke Kuechly puts in studying. He called him one of these new age guys that could do everything, kind of like an Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, or even a Todd Gurley. He said this is a guy you have to get him before he gets going. Loves the contact, stronger past the line of scrimmage, but again, can do everything on this football field, Joe.
He's proven that so far this season. This is the first third down the Steelers have faced all day for Roethlisberger. Brown makes the catch. No pressure. And Antonio Brown good for 34.
Well, you give Ben Roethlisberger this kind of time in the pocket, and then you've got Antonio Brown, who's free to get down the field, and he's working on the safety there, Mike Adams. He completely turns him around, and I don't care who you have. They've got some good, certainly a good young corner this year. Their first round pick in Dante Jackson, but nobody's going to hold up to that.
Here's Roethlisberger with pressure this time, and Peppers gets home. He obviously wasn't alone, but the guy number 4 on the all-time list with regard to career sacks is there with Mario Addison, coming off that big week against Tampa Bay last Sunday.
Yeah, big day then, and they need him tonight. And they're going to, at his age, they're going to try to keep his snaps to a minimum, or certainly on critical downs. But he has proven to be ageless, and he has the ability still to bring the pressure at 38 years old.
157 and a half now in the career of Peppers. Quick catch, quick tackle. Brown with the catch, and the tackle made by the rookie Dante Jackson. A loss of 2.
And Dante Jackson, he's one of the fastest guys in all of football. He runs a 4.3 is what he timed at the combine before the NFL draft. He's going to match up with Antonio Brown throughout most of this game. Now, in the big play down the field that we saw just a moment ago, that was a zone coverage. They passed it off, and all of a sudden he's one-on-one on a safety. But he's going to be matched up on him. Should be fun to watch as we move through this game.
Here's a blitz by Davis. Pass is broken up, and there's Julius Peppers downfield making the play in front of Juju Smith-Schuster.
How good is that? You got Julius Peppers, who drops off into coverage, and they had him. They're trying to get it in before Luke Kuechly's able to make a play, and they got Julius Peppers back there. Another pass defense by the big guy.
Roethlisberger, his first incompletion of the game. He started 8 for 9, and Boswell will try from 50. It would be a season long. He got it with plenty of room to spare. And it's a 24-7 Pittsburgh lead. 9:46 left, first half. Quick strike on their first play from scrimmage. Offensively, a defensive score. Connor has another. The Steelers have run 17 offensive plays, and they have 24 points on the board and lead by 17. Samuel on the return. Out across the 25 to the 27. We'll get you up to date on how, when, and why the Panthers sit here with a record of 6-2. They're number 2 in the NFL in rush yards per game. They are terrific at home, unbeaten. They're 1-1 in the NFC South. They have 2 games left with the New Orleans Saints, and they're 2 of their final 3 games of the year, with a home game against Atlanta right in the middle. They end the season at New Orleans. They lost to the Saints 3 times last year, including in the playoffs, and the pass is to DJ Moore. Gets around 1 tackle, and Bostic is there to bring him down after a gain of 5.
Yeah, you know, you look at last year, and probably the best division in football was the NFC South, with 3 teams: the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and then of course the Atlanta Falcons, all making the playoffs. And those teams are off to a pretty good start again this year. And when you look at that division, really a lot of it has to do with the quality of the quarterback play.
Here's Moore again. He's got a first down.
But the way that this schedule is made up for Carolina, like you said, Joe, they finish with New Orleans week 17, but they also play New Orleans week 15. So they're trying to keep pace. Of course, we saw New Orleans on Sunday, a big win against the Los Angeles Rams, and now with the addition of Dez Bryant, should be another fun race in the South.
Here's McCaffrey out of the backfield on first down. A nice gain. Bostic there for the tackle, but a gain of 7, and we'll see if Carolina can get some traction back after that opening 4.5-minute drive that got them 7 points.
Changing the pace up a little bit and trying to go a little more up tempo now that they've got some momentum going.
Here's Moore looking for blocks, doesn't get any. Samuel was out there, but the defenders went around him, and Mike Hilton is the one to blow up that play. A loss of 2, so 3rd and 5 coming.
Well, they're having some struggles, as we've shown, up front. So try to get the ball out quick. There, Chris Clark. One-on-one, of course you can do that. Norv Turner will leave those tackles one-on-one when the ball's coming out quick. When they want to start trying to drive the ball a little bit deeper, you're going to see him give those guys some help. A big 3rd down here already here in this first half.
Yeah, Panthers need a conversion. 3rd down and 5. Newton underneath has the first down. Pass is caught by Wright. And Jarius Wright, who came in with 18 catches on the year, good for 7 and a big first down.
Yeah, Jarius Wright, a guy that Norv Turner is certainly familiar with. He coached him when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, and a young receiver that he really liked back then, and he had his best year there in Minnesota. And then he kind of fell off the radar screen, and Carolina was certainly happy to bring him in this year and be a part of the offense. And he's another one of those versatile wide receivers that they have.
McCaffrey, Samuel, a gain of 1. So they've been doing a lot of this, some misdirection, and it's Curtis Samuel who ran one for a 33-yard touchdown on Sunday, bottled up here.
Well, that's because of Bud Dupree. He goes right after Cam Newton, and then he's standing out there waiting for Curtis Samuel, and there's another one of those reverses. I talked about it in our pregame that they're going to run 3 or 4 of those a game. They've had a lot of success, had huge success. Curtis Samuel scored a touchdown on a 30-something yard double reverse last week, and that time just not much to show for it.
Pass is caught for a first down. There's Samuel. So they tried that little reverse with Curtis Samuel. Now they throw it to him for 11 yards and a first down.
Yeah, it's an excellent job by Cam Newton. When he drops back and he knows where he's going with the football, can just cut it loose. He's awfully good, and he was very decisive on that throw. Curtis Samuel ran him a good route, and he put it right on him.
Here's Moore out on the edge. And Moore's got another first down. Bostic on the tackle, and now they're going to mark him down really close to the marker. We'll see if they'll give it to him or not. They're saying he's just inches short. Don't know about the spot. Might have been a little conservative. It'll be second down and 6, 7, 8 inches. Looked like he had it. And a timeout is taken by the Steelers. So with that, we'll take a break. Second down and well less than a yard when we come back for the Panthers down 17. Well, Pittsburgh took a timeout on defense, and Mike Pereira, they might have taken a timeout that led to the challenge and might lead right to a first down.
Yeah, you know, Joe, I think it will, because DJ Moore, it's actually his right calf that hits first, but you know, to me, he just has to get to the 26 when the right calf hits. The ball is beyond the line, so you know, I think there certainly is enough to reverse it and make it a first down.
We marked him short. It's either second and inches or first and 10 for the Carolina Panthers, who have proven they know how to come back. They trailed at Philly week 7, 17-0 after 3 quarters, and scored the last 21 points and won that big game on the road. And that's their one road victory as they come in 1-2 away from Charlotte.
Yeah, there was a little confusion there that forced Mike Tomlin to call the timeout. Cameron Hayward, he came off the field, and that's what led to the timeout, which may lead to a first down.
After reviewing the play, the runner was not down by contact until he was beyond the line to gain. It'll be first down for Carolina. Carolina will not be charged a timeout.
Each side is left with 2 with just over 5 to play in the half. First down, Panthers. Ball sitting just outside the 25. And away we go. Newton, McCaffrey left alone. Touchdown, his second of the game. Christian McCaffrey finds a Panther fan and has taken it in twice tonight. What a half for the second-year pro from Stanford.
Well, I don't know what's happening there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. These two guys right here, Morgan Burnett and Cody Sensabaugh, they both run to their left, and nobody then is. That's a pretty simple basic route by Christian McCaffrey. They run this thing 5-6 times a game where he just comes out of the backfield and nobody there covering him. That was too easy.
And it's a 10-point game. How about McCaffrey? 112 yards from scrimmage, 60 on the ground, 52 through the air, 2 touchdowns. And it's a 10-point game in Pittsburgh.
We'll go back and take a look at that touchdown. Actually, it was John Bostic, the linebacker, because these two guys are covering these two, and Bostic gets caught up in the action by Greg Olsen coming off the ball and just doesn't simply go over the top, gets confused, whatever it was, but it was the bust in coverage there by the linebacker, which freed McCaffrey up and why he was so open.
McCaffrey with 2 touchdowns tonight, 6 over the last 4 games, and that gives Cam Newton 17 for the year against his 5 interceptions, one of which came tonight early into the hands of Vince Williams, returned for the touchdown.
You know, last year when he had all those receptions, I thought most of it was because Greg Olsen had missed so much time, but Greg has missed 3 games this year, but still, even with that, Christian McCaffrey's on pace to have about 100 receptions this season.
Gano, what he usually does, a touchback. And so up by 10, the Steelers will start at their 25. Tomorrow on NFL Network, wake up with football. It's the morning show that critics have called legit entertaining. Good Morning Football tomorrow at 7, only on NFL Network. Anybody on Good Morning Football you want to send a bouquet to tonight?
No, I may later. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see another promo in the second half. And it is a great show. So from the 25, here's Pittsburgh. They hand it off to Jalen Samuels, and the rookie from NC State on first down gets 5.
Well, the question right now is, can Carolina make a stop? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers have had the ball 3 times and they've scored 3 times. And on the last drive they had, it started on the 7-yard line. Didn't come away with a touchdown, but they were able to drive it down, get into field goal position, and get 3 points. And that was a great drive by their offense to go down and get 7. And with under 4.5 minutes to go now here in this first half, they need to see that they can make a play.
Here's Samuels again, and this time he loses a yard. So third down coming up is Kawann Short. Got in there to make the stop.
This has been a big down for the Pittsburgh Steelers here during their 4-game win streak. They've been good overall, 46% on third down on the year, but in the last 4 games they've been converting at a 60% clip. So they've been awfully good on third downs here as of late.
Pass is caught by Switzer. And Ryan Switzer has got a first down as Adams brought him down with a gain of 18.
You can see they put Thomas Davis up in the line of scrimmage, and when he pulls out, he's looking the other way, and Ryan Switzer's just able to get in right behind it. There's just no defender in that area whatsoever.
James Conner on the sideline to start this drive. This one down the sideline for Brown. He's got it. He's got another. Touchdown Steelers. $53 yards to Antonio Brown, and for the 69th time, it's number 7 to number 84 for a touchdown.
That was the rookie we were talking about. He's had a nice season up to this point, Dante Jackson, but he hasn't faced many receivers like Antonio Brown. And one-on-one, no move whatsoever. He just simply beat him. And a great throw by Roethlisberger,
who has a perfect quarterback rating here in the first half. 10 for 11, 217, 2 touchdowns. Antonio still dancing. 5 catches, 100 yards, and this touchdown. And again, they're the number 7 combo all time. Roethlisberger to Brown, 69th time they've hooked up for a touchdown.
What a story he is. I mean, when you think back to when he was taken in the 2010 draft as a 6th rounder, I mean, what a steal he was. 21 receivers went before him, and you know, the knock on him was that he was undersized. You see, Jackson, I don't know who exactly he's yelling at, thinking maybe he was interfered with a little bit, but Antonio Brown, a guy who was regarded as too small coming into the league, he would struggle with press coverage. Well, he's got some years on Dante Jackson, but he showed Dante that it's a little different ball game here in the NFL.
I think you're right. I think Dante Jackson, immediately was looking for a flag on Antonio Brown for a push-off. The rookie does not get that call. Brown gets the touchdown. Back to a 17-point game. Well, the NFL is deeply committed to Salute to Service, the league's year-round effort to honor, empower, and connect with our nation's service members, veterans, and their families. Join us in thanking those who bravely serve our country and generate an NFL donation to its military nonprofit partners by visiting NFL.com/salute. Thursday before Veterans Day weekend, and we salute all of those who serve. With 3:08 to go in this first half, now the Panthers in position where they have to try to answer yet again. 2 timeouts. Blitz. Panthers pick it up, and the pass is caught by DJ Moore, and out there to make the stop immediately is Joe Hayden. And Dante Jackson is reacting after getting beaten deep by Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he's looking forward to this matchup, no doubt. He's a very confident young man. He is a good press corner, and the key for him is in this league, if you're going to play corner, you're going to give up some plays, and how will he bounce back from that? Because that's going to be a matchup if they continue to go with him on Antonio Brown, that they're going to need him to rise.
Here's Olsen, makes that spinning catch. And a nice gain on second down of 14 yards and a first down out across their own 40 at the 41.
Stephon Tuitt, there's been very few times here in this first half that Cam Newton has not turned the ball loose and he's gotten hit. And Tuitt that time was able to get right in on him.
More pressure. Newton throws. There's Olsen again. Covered by Sensabaugh, who has taken over the starting cornerback spot for the former first-round pick Artie Burns. We saw Dante Jackson hot after the touchdown by Antonio Brown. Mike Pereira, do you think he had reason to be upset?
Well, I can see why he is upset, but to me, Brown, it's more hand fighting to me in slow motion. It really looks like there is a strong grab, but watch in real time here. There's just not enough. There's not a shove with separation. I think that's a good no call, regardless of the fact that there is a bit of grab of the jersey.
So now Carolina faced with second down and 3. You see what Cam Newton has done on that bar of graphics. 10 straight completions. Make it 11 as he finds the veteran Greg Olsen, who came into this game number 7 all-time among tight ends in receiving yards and number 6 all-time in receptions.
Well, we're going to see Carolina. They got plenty of time. They've got 2 timeouts left, and I'm going to try to time this out. Not in a real big rush just yet.
Whoop. Newton gets hit. Ball is out. McCaffrey able to get back on top of it as T.J. Watt came in and laid the hit on Cam Newton. Wow. A loss of 9.
Well, T.J. Watt, he's not even blocked. And to Cam Newton's front side, I'm really not quite certain how you don't feel that coming. I mean, it's right to his front side there, even though he's working off to his left, that he had gone, if they free release Christian McCaffrey, and if Cam Newton sees it and comes back to McCaffrey, they got a chance for a pretty good sized gain. Now you see the grimace by Cam Newton, and he's over there warming up a little bit, and he has taken some time off the last couple of weeks during the week because of that shoulder, resting it some, and that's what absorbs that blow.
Yet for all the hits, because of what he does back in the pocket, out of the pocket, running the football. Cam has missed only 3 games in 7.5 years. It's remarkable how tough he's been. 2nd down and 22 as the Panthers had to use their second timeout. That was a fumble recovered by McCaffrey. More pressure. McCaffrey makes the catch and spins out to the 48. Bostic on the tackle. And every time Newton turns around, there are black jerseys right in his face. Now timeout taken by Pittsburgh on defense on 3rd and 16. Stay tuned for the Toyota halftime. Michael, Howie, and Terry from New York. Mark Wahlberg will join the show. Glad to have him with us here on Fox on a Thursday night. It is week number 10 around the National Football League. It's Thursday, November 8th. And the Panthers come in having won 3 straight, but they're in some trouble here on the road tonight.
Well, they're in some trouble, and they're in trouble right here because 3rd and long, in order to pick this up, Cam Newton's going to have to hold on to the ball, and this line has shown no ability to hold them off for any length of time yet.
Now it'll be 3rd and 21.
Close start. Number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
And there's no 10-second runoff there because the clock had already stopped. But you see Van Roten. This offensive line, considering all the changes that they've been through to come into this season, has actually been one of the strengths coming into this game. But they have struggled. Both the tackles have had their hands full. We've seen the interior guys. And right now, I've got to believe North Turner's going to play it pretty safe. I wouldn't be surprised if they just turn and hand it off to McCaffrey.
Newton not on the same page. Instead, he's picked. Olsen was the target, and now they're saying incomplete as it was trapped by Terrell Edmunds. Crowd doesn't like the call. Edmunds doesn't argue. And Cam and Olsen not on the same page, and you can see why they said incomplete. Mike Pereira agrees in the booth. And it's 4th and 21 instead of an interception, which would have been the 2nd of the night.
Yeah, and I don't think they were going to pick that up anyway, even if they were able to get it to Olsen. He did not have enough yardage. But Bud Dupree, he's had a great first half here tonight. He was the one applying the pressure that caused the high throw from Newton. He comes around and he's able to get up in the air and force the high ball.
Velarde punts it. Switzer with a fair catch back around the 12. 48-yard punt. No return. 1:02, 1 timeout for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. And they have been able to get chunks in big yardage packages in short amount of time. How about the pressure on Cam Newton in this first half? I mean, it has been relentless.
Well, I like what the Pittsburgh Steelers are able to do. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, they've got the edge rushers, T.J. Watt. Bud Dupree has really come on, and then with the interior of Cameron Hayward and Stephon Tuitt, those are the guys that make it work, and they have really helped out the secondary here this year.
Connor's still not out there. The handoff is to Samuels, and a big play. Ball is out. But down is the call at the 25, a gain of 14. Connor appears to be fine, by the way, just standing on the sideline as Jalen Samuels has been out there a lot here late in the first half. There he is out getting knocked down by Dante Jackson.
Well, Mike Tomlin, he talked about it, and he says he likes all 3 of these running backs, and they'll all be used. And right now, as you see, you've got James Conner, who's over on the sidelines, and this is Samuel's opportunity.
2nd and 8. Roethlisberger steps through the pressure, and he's got a first down. But now time continues to tick away, and that's going to be it. And Ben said, wait, do I have to take a timeout? He wanted a face mask call.
Third and final team timeout.
And Ben says, all right, I'll take it. First of all, he was lucky to hang on to that ball. And there's the face mask. You could see both sides were looking for it. It's Kawann Short who almost got to that ball. And then watch the left hand of Ben Roethlisberger right there up into the face of Dontari Poe. But no call. And Cam Newton's going to head into the locker room. 3 seconds left. And Ben called the timeout, and I don't think he meant to or wanted to.
I don't think so either. Mike Tomlin, they get the ball to start this second half. I think he was perfectly content going in as it was.
It is a 17-point game in Pittsburgh. What a half by the Steelers. Toyota halftime coming up.
Want to stay up to date? Hey Siri, show me football schedules.
Panthers and Steelers. Looks like we have a good one in the Steel City tonight. Here comes the second half with these two NFL heavyweights on Thursday Night Football.
That's tonight's Game Flow, brought to you by Progressive. It's a 17-point game at the half. We'll welcome you inside the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck, along with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. And Carolina defensively, this is a bit of a shock. I mean, the 31 points they've allowed, the most ties for the most they've allowed in an entire game. They've got to come up with some answers for the Steelers offense.
Yeah, it's got to start at the first of this second half, because the Steelers, they get the ball to start this second half. They couldn't stop them. I mean, short of the kneel down at the end of the first half, they scored on every possession. And I've never seen a Carolina defense get beat up and dominated the way that this one has. Offensively, yeah, they had the interception, got returned for the touchdown, against Cam Newton. Other than that, they've done some pretty decent things, but they have no chance if their defense can't make a stop.
You see the stats after one half of play. Time of possession, quick strikes by Pittsburgh. They had that defensive score as well. Vince Williams getting a pick six. And we'll see how this second half gets underway, as Mike Tomlin's Steelers come in having won 4 straight. And they're on top in the AFC North. Out to the 25, down to Aaron Andrews we go.
Joe, I was told by quite a few people coming out of the Panthers locker room that head coach Ron Rivera was fired up. In fact, many people told me they hadn't seen him that fired up in quite some time. What he did tell me was, I asked him about the pressure on Cam Newton and what do they do here in the second half, and he said, I've been happy we've been moving the ball, but he said we cannot turn this thing over anymore and we can't give up the ball over the top. As for the defense, he said, clearly it's easy. You can't give up the big plays, Joe.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger has always been so good at dropping the ball in downfield. He's already hooked up with Antonio Brown in this game. And he hands here to Connor. A lot of moves at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Let's go down to Christina Pink.
Hey, Joe, well, we see James Conner back in the game. We didn't see much of him towards the end of the first half, but Mike Tomlin assured me he's fine. He said it's a short week. We're going to need him. We're just working in other guys. And last week for the Steelers, it was all about long scoring drives to control clock. Tonight, 75-yard touchdown pass, 53-yard touchdown pass. Coach saying it's just execution that's allowing the big plays.
Yeah, it's been unprecedented work for James Conner, so they're trying to pace him now in the second half of this season. And who knows, maybe they get Bell back. Here's Smith-Schuster. Play is made by Bradbury. Second down, a gain of 5, and so 3rd and 5 coming up.
And I think that's a good point by Christina in the conversation with Mike Tomlin. It is a short week, and then also for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're coming off that game against Baltimore, which is always a physical ball game, so it's already hard enough, and then when you have the physicality of a divisional game like they had, try to rest these guys up and make sure they're good to go once you get into the fourth quarter.
Put up 395 yards on the Ravens. We're 10 for 16 on third down on Sunday. Here it's third down. The pass is complete to Switzer for a first down. And the former Dallas Cowboy and the short-time Raider is good for 13, brought down by Eric Reed.
Yeah, Ryan Switzer was working opposite of where Roethlisberger was initially looking, but once he got flushed, Switzer's able to separate, and Roethlisberger finds him. And you know, Ryan Switzer's an interesting guy. He was brought in by the Cowboys initially out of college and then was traded during the offseason to the Oakland Raiders, and then they turn around and they trade him to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
See the quarterback rating of 158.3 for Roethlisberger. He's been tremendous. Here's Conner. James Conner spins for a first down. Picks up 14 yards, and Eric Reed there to make the tackle as Conner is helped up.
Well, Ramon Foster, he does an excellent job of helping lead the way, but that shows you some of the ability there of James Conner and the feet that he has and the quickness in knowing he's got great vision, first of all, in order to see the holes develop, and then once he does, bang, he's in it. He's a tough, gritty guy, and he's a fun player to watch. He's got a future regardless of whatever happens with Le'Veon Bell.
Roethlisberger drops it off for Darius Hayward-Bay, and he's got his first catch of the season. Depends on where they mark him, out of bounds near another first down. He got 9. Bradbury out there for Carolina.
Well, they're trying now to get after Roethlisberger and not give him the time in the pocket. They bring the safety Mike Adams, Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator, and you know, they've been able to rough him up a little bit or at least move him off the point. But Roethlisberger so difficult to get to the ground and to still be able to navigate and drop the ball off, and has made positive plays as a result.
Second down and 1. Conner picks up the first down. Kuechly with the tackle. A gain of 4.
James Bradbury is he's the corner coming off the edge for contain, and James Conner, he puts one little move on him and got no chance. This is another good drive, so whatever Ron Rivera had to say to this defense in particular so far hadn't paid off.
Started at the 25. It's to the Carolina 30. Here's Conner. Got a yard.
He got a yard, but I don't know if he tripped over his own foot or something. You can tell he's upset because it looked like he might have been out the gate. So he came through this. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. Yeah, Mike Tomlin saw the same thing I did.
Second down and 9. Pass is caught. That's McDonald. Vance McDonald on 2nd and 9 is brought down by Thomas Davis with a 6-yard gain. 3rd and short coming up.
My guy Vance McDonald. This guy has a ton of ability, and now it's just a matter of whether or not he can stay healthy. He missed some time last year, his first year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He came into camp this year banged up, missed week 1. But man, if he can just stay healthy, he's an explosive player and gives them a big threat down the middle.
That's his first catch of the game. Roethlisberger's found 8 different receivers. 3rd and 3. Pass is caught. First down and more. Smith-Schuster out of bounds inside the 15-yard line, and a gain of 8.
Well, that was really good action there, and they motion Antonio Brown across, and they get James Conner, and he's running out to the flat real quick. Had everybody thinking that they were going to go wide with the play, and Juju Smith-Schuster, he comes underneath all of it.
Here's Conner. a yard and a half. Peppers in on the stop, and he wasn't alone. K'Wan short as well. A gain of a couple. 2nd and 8. By the way, in case what Troy was referencing, in case you missed our opening on camera, Troy broke a young Vance McDonald's heart. And Vance, who prior to that moment was a huge Troy Aikman fan, asked for his wristbands back in the day, and Troy said no.
He makes another catch. I'm going to be his biggest fan again, and I'll be his hero again, because I'm going to talk him up. I'm going to make good on that one.
All right, 2nd down and 8. Pass to the end zone and broken up. Smith-Schuster the target, and good coverage by Munnerlyn, who got his hand in there.
Yeah, that's not an easy assignment either for Captain Munnerlyn. He's in trail mode right there, just survival, hoping that somehow he can get there and try to help make a play on the ball. And they had a chance. Captain Munnerlyn is getting a lot more playing time this year than what he had a year ago. Got really frustrated last season and did not play as much. They used Shaq Thompson more in those situations, but he has been their nickel guy, and they've used him a lot more this season.
3rd down and 8. End zone. There he is. McDonald for the touchdown. First, we'll make sure there's a flag back at the end of the play at the 24-yard line. First, let's make sure he was in. And he is...
After the play is over, personal foul, number 92, defense. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. Touchdown.
Well, for now, the foul happened after the play, but the question is, was there control with McDonald going out of bounds?
Well,
I don't know.
That's what I saw, Joe. Does he have possession of the ball? Because it did look like it was moving a little bit, and then he's out of bounds, it looked to me, before he actually regained possession of the football. We'll see what Mike thinks, but
they've confirmed it's a touchdown. And the extra point tacks on another. Roethlisberger, 3 touchdown passes. He's thrown 2 incompletions. We'll hear from Mike Pereira on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light at Heinz Field. Vance McDonald gets the touchdown. There's certainly more to say about that. It's his 2nd of the year. There was a personal foul on Vernon Butler, which means the kickoff comes from the 50, and we'll see how Boswell wants to approach it. Just a little pop-up. And Samuel's going to try and bring it out. Gets to the sideline. And a pretty good return out of bounds out near the 30. Let's go back to the touchdown. A lot of movement of the football, Mike Pereira, but they didn't do anything but allow the extra point to follow immediately.
I think, Joe, what they really looked at was the left hand there. Did the left hand ever come off the ball? And here's the theory with replay right now, that if we give them all the shots that they can use, and they can determine that they would not overturn it. There was not enough to overturn it, so therefore the rule in the field would have stood. They don't stop it for pace of game purposes, and I think that was the case there.
Here's McCaffrey on 1st down. Gets 5. Well, let's just say we have seen a lot of calls go in the category of no catch with less movement than what we just saw on the part of that ball rolling on the wrist of Vance McDonald. And I think you saw the replay of Ron Rivera pointing to the big screen here at the stadium saying that ball's still moving.
it just doesn't seem to make sense, logical sense, that they wouldn't stop and actually review the play.
Newton is going to go down again. Sacked back inside the 25 as Dupre gets home.
Well, they've applied pressure off the edge, and they've also brought the blitzes in the middle and have forced Christian McCaffrey to hold up also, and that is tough assignment with John Bostic coming right up the gut And so you've got edge pressure, and for Cam Newton, he wants to be able to step up, and there's nowhere to go. It's been a reoccurring theme throughout this game.
Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator in his 4th year, running the defense for Mike Tomlin, has to be thrilled with the pressure he's been able to achieve on Cam Newton. Here's Samuel on 3rd down and forever, brought down by Morgan Burnett, a gain of 4. It's 4th and 12.
Well, when you can't protect and you're calling a game then to try to help your offensive line with quick passing game like we just saw, 3rd and long, get it out, don't have another negative play, it is really hard to do, and he has done an outstanding job, the defensive coordinator Keith Butler, and this front 7 has dominated this game.
Fair catch, hauled in by Switzer. Roosevelt Nix almost got through to block it. 37-yard punt. Here comes Ben.
Franco Harris, a Steelers legend first and foremost. He got big old hit pads sticking out, and he has speed and power, so defenders, I know they feared him a lot. Working arm tackles, finishing it off strong. Hard-nosed guy, hard-nosed where, embraces what Pittsburgh is, the Steel City.
Well, James is going to have to get to work if he's going to chase down the great Franco Harris. Here's the touchdown from the first half for Connor. He's got 4 straight 100-yard rushing games. The Steeler record is 6 straight, set by Franco in 1972. Here's Connor for a yard. He's up to 61 in the game, and that's Vernon Butler on the stop for Carolina.
Yeah, and you'd think that James Conner, in all likelihood, will get his 100 yards tonight with the score what it is, that as they go into this 4th quarter, I would imagine he'll be getting quite a few of those carries.
Connor, nothing, maybe a yard with that final fall. We talked about James Conner, and earlier in the game talked about Le'Veon Bell, who has lost a lot of money. He's missed 10 weeks. You see the total. The report from earlier today is that ownership here expects Le'Veon Bell to report. He has to do so by Tuesday at 4 p.m. to be able to play this season. Not able to work out a long-term deal. Here's Vance McDonald. Still going. Inside the 45 of Carolina to the 44. All right, now make this guy's night.
That's my guy. Somebody get that guy a wristband. We're crying out loud. He needs one. How about that? Good run after the catch. And I talked about the Steelers and what they've been able to do here on 3rd down during this 4-game winning streak, and it continues again tonight. Just one stop for the Carolina defense on 3rd down. Pittsburgh 6 of 7 on 3rd down, and you're going to win a whole lot of football games when you're winning 3rd downs the way they have.
Ridley in the backfield. He gets it to the 40. Here's what we're referencing. On the right, there's the picture. Troy hat backward. Looks like, to me, it looks like post-practice, but that's me. And
that's what he wanted. He wanted that right there.
He wanted the wristband. I asked him for his wristband. He told me no, and I just remember being like, man, that stinks, because the guy, he was like my hero.
What doesn't stink is I gave him an autograph, and that, but he either asked me, he must have asked me right before practice, because I trust me, I'm not trying to, I gave wristbands away like they were candy back when I was playing.
All right.
I have to talk to old Vance about this.
2nd down and 6. Incomplete for Ridley. 3rd down and 6 coming. Here's a short message from Target. Here's tonight's quarterback comparison presented by Target. 158.3, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions for Roethlisberger, a perfect quarterback rating. He's had 3 perfect ratings at the end of a game so far in his terrific 15-year career.
He has been awfully good here over the last month. He's been good really all year, but especially the last 4+ games.
Pass is caught. There's McDonald. Depends on how much forward progress they give him. And as the officials come in, they say it's enough for a first down. And that'll be interesting to see on replay. First down, Pittsburgh.
Vance getting the crowd going too. You know, I talked about the injuries that he suffered last year and the time that he missed, and then he comes out in the playoff game against Jacksonville. We'll take a look here and see.
Well, that was a really generous spot.
Yeah, that wasn't even close.
No challenge, no time for one as Ridley carries right side and gets a yard. Shaq Thompson on the stop.
But Vance McDonald, when he came back, he played in that playoff game against Jacksonville, had over 100 yards receiving, and gave the Steelers another glimpse of, you know, what he could do and why they went out and made a trade for him with the 49ers. And you know, had the injury, of course, in training camp, missed week 1, but then he came back even this year, week 3 against Kansas City, had another 100-yard game. So his big thing's just staying healthy, and we're seeing tonight if he can do that, he's got a real role in this offense.
Here's Ridley, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and Thomas Davis and Shaq Thompson combined on the stop. Moments ago, we don't know why, but James Conner went into the tent. I'm not going to speculate. We'll just wait to get word. It's 3rd down and 8.
Here we go, another 3rd down and another 3rd and long. I mean, they've had him in some longer 3rd downs and yet have not been able to make a stop.
Roethlisberger pulls it down, wants to run, has it, still going. Inside the 15 and a flag for the hit on Eric Reed. And DeCastro comes in and gets in the face of Eric Reed after that hit.
They better get Captain Munnerlyn out of there.
Somehow Reed and DeCastro found each other again, but here's the hit that drew the flag, and then DeCastro saw it and came up and got into Eric Reed's face.
Yeah, well, there's no question it's a penalty, but you see what happened. They're in 2 deep, man underneath, so that means nobody accounts for the quarterback. Roethlisberger recognizes it, and he goes and gets the first down. And I understand why David DeCastro came over and stood up for his quarterback. That was an unnecessary hit by Eric Reed. It was clearly a penalty. As soon as Roethlisberger starts to slide, he's defenseless. You can't hit him in the head or neck injury or area. And now I will tell you that as a quarterback, that's what you expect to see from your offensive lineman.
Officials are still gathered together, talking through the infraction. Mike Pereira.
Well, to me, it's pretty simple here. You get maybe a bit of a late slide, but once he hits the ground, he is defenseless, so you can't hit him in the head or neck area with your helmet, shoulder, forearm. So it is a foul. I think what they're talking about now is a possibility of an ejection, because if they ruled on the field themselves that they think this is an ejection, then it goes to New York, and Al Riveron will chime in to see if it and confirm it is enough or if he feels it isn't.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 25 of the defense. He is disqualified from the game. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
The Panther defenders are stunned that Reed's been kicked out of the game. Mike?
You know, talked about this today. We have a conference call with the league, and the issue is that if the officials rule that the act is flagrant enough to eject them, then New York will support the ejection if in fact there is contact. In this case, if in fact there is shoulder to the helmet. So it was Al Riveron that confirmed that there was the contact, and they stay with the ejection.
It was a season-long 17-yard run by Roethlisberger. You saw Ben and Eric Reed going to make up, so to speak, at the end of that. Roethlisberger with a pat on Reed and vice versa, but Eric Reed is ejected and now has to make that long walk back to the locker room. It moves the ball down to the 7. Mike, I'll just ask you, just your opinion. Do you think that was enough to get ejected?
Nowadays, yes. Last year I would have said no, but now with the emphasis on hits to the head, yes, I think it is enough.
Samuels, the rookie, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, and Kuechly is out there to make the stop. A loss of 1. And we'll see how defensively Carolina accounts for the loss of Eric Reed as James Conner comes back in off the sideline. So whatever he was checked for inside that blue tent, he's okay.
Well, they bring in the rookie Rashawn Golden. 3rd-round pick out of Tennessee is the one who's in the game.
Second and goal, pass caught, Jesse James, touchdown. And this has been a clinic by the Steelers on offense.
And it's the rookie Rashawn Golden who was in coverage, should have been locked up with Jesse James. He gets caught in the traffic there with Antonio Brown and kind of forgets where he's going, and pretty easy touchdown. And this has been about as much of a dominating game by the Pittsburgh Steelers as I've seen in a long time.
The only possession tonight by the Steelers where they didn't score points was when the clock ran out at the end of the first half. Big Ben having fun. He likes these Thursday night games. All Pittsburgh tonight.
I do it for the glory.
Welcome back to Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light. 45-14 Pittsburgh. Carolina got the first 7 points of the night, took the opening kickoff and went down a 4.5-minute drive. Went for it on a 4th down, converted there, got a touchdown by McCaffrey, who has both scores for Carolina. But other than that, it's been Big Ben, a variety of receivers, good protection. Also added a defensive score. Here's Samuel, slips. Ball is out. And recovered by Pittsburgh, it appears, and they've got it. And there's now not much going right for the Panthers here in Pennsylvania. Nix knocked it out. Chicolo recovers. There's big number 45, the fullback, good special teamer, and punched it right out.
Yeah, I saw him start to go to the ground. He was slipping and was wondering if maybe, his body part was on the ground before the ball was knocked out. Obviously, that was not the case. He comes in, punches it right out. Special teams decided, hey, let us in on the fun.
They take over at the 9. Roethlisberger's still in there.
This might be it for him if they score a touchdown on this drive.
B.J. Finney is taken over at center for Pouncey. Here's Conner to the 6, and Kuechly bends him backward. Gain of 3.
I mean, we're just wrapping up the 3rd quarter, and the Steelers have 430 yards of offense
against a Carolina defense. Yep, Steelers having a good time here tonight. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. There's Mr. Lambert, part of the great tradition here with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
One of the many great linebackers who have worn the black and gold here in Pittsburgh.
Well, it's second down and goal after the turnover by Samuel, with the ball resting at the 6. Here's one for Samuels, leaps for the touchdown. First touchdown for the rookie from NC State. A 6-yard catch, run, and leap.
Yeah, he's in, and it just kind of felt like the Steelers could have called anything they wanted, and it was going to go for a touchdown or throw it to whoever they wanted. And Ben Roethlisberger does an excellent job of kind of setting it up, helping sell the throw down the field, coming back for the screen.
The Steelers have played in this building since 2001. This is the most points they've ever scored here in this home. Now a message from Verizon. Aerial coverage is brought to you by State Farm as we welcome you back to Pittsburgh. The points put up by the Steelers tonight, the 52. Just underway in the fourth quarter, the most by any team across the NFL this season, and it's the most all-time by the Steelers in this home as they play here at Heinz Field for the 18th year. Also ties for the most points ever given up by the Carolina Panthers. They have a history that dates back to '95. Dwayne Haskins, number 10, Ohio State, look to keep their playoff hopes alive in a showdown with Michigan State Saturday at 11:30 Eastern. Then number 19 Texas goes toe-to-toe with Texas Tech at 7:30 Eastern. College football kicks off Saturday on Fox, or watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app. Cam Newton back out there. Yeah. They better do a better job of protecting him in this final quarter of play.
I am a little surprised that Cam Newton's still out there, because if they're going to try to climb into this, it's tough to do.
Here's McCaffrey, a little stutter step out to the 31. Moments ago, James Conner got a visit from Mike Tomlin. Shortly thereafter, down the steps and into the locker room he went. He got a hit to the head earlier in the game by Thomas Davis, went into the tent, got checked out, came back into the game. But then maybe Mike Tomlin has seen enough and wants to save him for their next game, which is at Jacksonville next Sunday. Backpedaling as he throws. The pass is caught by Funchess. A gain of 4. Third down coming up. The AFC North. Steelers on top, on their way to 6-2-1. Troy, they have to be in the conversation now. When you think AFC, I think everybody's waiting for New England and Kansas City to meet again in a championship game, but add the Chargers. Houston's red hot. They've won 6 straight, and the Steelers, they're gunning for their 5th in a row as Cam Newton keeps and picks up a first down.
Well, you can never count out the Pittsburgh Steelers, and even when they started out the year 1-2-1, and there was a lot of people questioning, hey, where is this team? A lot of in-house bickering, and the guy who has been rock solid through it all is that man right there, Mike Tomlin. You talk to anybody who has been a part of this organization, who knows the job that he does. He handles adversity probably as well as any head coach in football, and he was rock solid through that, weathered it, and here they are in contention once again.
And I think it's a good point to bring up as McCaffrey is out of bounds after a gain of 3, with the potential imminent return of Le'Veon Bell. If indeed, as we heard the report earlier, ownership expects Bell to come back this week. If there's a coach that can handle a locker room, a veteran leadership group, I would think Pittsburgh's pretty well suited to handle that.
I don't think there's any question. I think Mike Tomlin has proven that over the years, and he has once again this year.
Another sack. Newton dragged to the ground. Tuitt was there, not alone. A loss of 10 on the play.
Well, Christian McCaffrey, I don't know how he drew that assignment, but he has to come over and try to pick up Cameron Hayward. Greg Van Roten, the left guard, he does not block him. And we talked about a mismatch when you've got someone like Vince Williams up against Christian McCaffrey. How about a defensive tackle that he's trying to block? And that's what I said earlier. I did on this possession. I'm just surprised that Cam Newton is still in this game because they have not protected him at all.
Hayward got there first, as you said. Here's Samuel on 3rd and 17. He goes backward. And the domination continues. TJ Watt was in there on that sack as well. So it's not one guy getting through. There are different plays where it's 2-3 guys at a time.
Come after him pretty good, and obviously you don't ever expect to be in a game like this at 52-14. We really thought this was going to be a heck of a matchup, come down to the wire. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, they have just dominated across the board. I mean, pick the position, the unit, they have won at every level.
Switzer with a fair catch inside the 30, and the Steelers get the ball back. I think it's a good night when your team has put up 52, and as a quarterback, you've got more touchdown passes than incompletions. And a perfect quarterback rating, and now Roethlisberger gets to watch the rest of this one with Dobbs taking over quarterback, and you get the extra rest as you're off this weekend. Game could not have gone better for the Steelers on offense. Dobbs completes. Brown wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage in a loss of 3. Dante Jackson on the stop, and they were talking all week about the pass that Dobbs threw in the 4th quarter at Baltimore. Came in after Ben got hit hard, had the wind knocked out of him, and he threw a 22-yard pass to Smith-Schuster for an important completion in that final quarter of play in that divisional win.
Yeah, and I would think that they'll want to let him throw the ball a little bit and let him get some work, because if you look at it, Ben Roethlisberger has only made it through a 16-game season 3 times.
Here's Samuels. Davis is there to force him out after a gain of 5.
And knowing that, you know, Roethlisberger generally misses 1 to 2 ball games a season, that, you know, there's a good chance he came in last week, like you said, on Sunday, made a nice throw, but there's a chance that he's probably going to be needed at some point to play and possibly to start. And so even though they have this big lead right now, I would think that they're going to continue to run their offense. First, 3rd and long here, and not just run the ball and then punt and play defense.
Not only is Roethlisberger out of the game, Luke Kuechly is out of the game for Carolina. Steelers are 8 for 9 on 3rd down, and with a blitz coming off the edge, Samuels was the target, and the pass is incomplete. Wes Horton was there to apply pressure.
Of course, you talk about this rest that the Steelers are now going to get. You know, with this being a Thursday night game, this Carolina team, they need a little rest too. They could use a little more time practicing. I understand with the way they performed tonight, but they're going to need to get healed up emotionally as much as anything. They got 3 of their next 4 games on the road.
Not a good punt by Jordan Berry, his first of the night. It's been a long time since he warmed up. 27-yard punt, that's it. All Steelers on a Thursday. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. Face painted, hat on, towel being waved as they do here in Pittsburgh, and they've had some fun here tonight. with their Steelers putting up 52 on the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton still out there. McCaffrey as well. Hargrave made the tackle after a gain of 4. This is the definition of stability. 3 head coaches since 1969, and 3 great ones, from Noel to Cowher to Tomlin.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the 3 of them, Joe, their philosophy really has not changed over all those years. Offensive football has certainly changed, and they've thrown the ball more with Roethlisberger as it's evolved, and rightfully so. But when you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think power running game. They still have that, and great defense, great linebackers. And I probably admire that as much as anything. They have a core belief in how they go about winning football games, and they have stuck with it, and they've stuck with their coaches, even in difficult times, as we can tell by the fact that they've only had 3 of them.
The Steelers are #1 with regard to winning percentage since the merger, which happened in 1970. A .616 winning percentage, 462, 287, and 3. Dallas is #2 at 582. So there's a big discrepancy between first and second. Here's a completion to Jarius Wright for a first down. Burnett on the tackle. So the question for Carolina is, where do they go from here? They're at Detroit, their next game, at home against Seattle, at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland. And some head shaking over there on the bench. All those games on Fox. They came in having won 3 straight, a record of 6-2, but looking up at the Saints, who are 7-1 and coming off that win at home over LA. Samuel on the catch, a gain of 4.
Yeah, they will fall 2 games back behind New Orleans. New Orleans traveling to Cincinnati on Sunday, and as we spoke of earlier, Joe, you and I got a chance to see them on Sunday for the first time, and a huge win against the LA Rams in a game that, who knows, may determine who has home field advantage throughout. And if you're having to go to New Orleans and play in that dome in the postseason, good luck with that.
Panthers can tell you all about that. Pass is caught by Funchess to the 25. We're in week 10, a chance to look at the playoff picture through week 9. We've got the NFC West and a matchup for the Rams against Seattle. There's the South and the Saints. The North led by the Bears. And the NFC East seems completely up for grabs. Nothing against Washington, but they are really injured, especially on their offensive line. To the end zone, the pass is underthrown, and a flag. Moore was the target, and on the coverage, a penalty flag is thrown in the end zone. It's against the Steelers, and that'll set Carolina up as Artie Burns, who's been benched, now commits pass interference.
Pass interference,
in the end zone.
number 25 defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. Will place the ball at the 1-yard line. First down.
He's lost his starting job, Troy, to Cody Sensabaugh.
Yeah, and the reason why was he's had too many plays like that. And so Mike Tomlin, when we visited with him about it, now Artie Burns is coming off the field. But he said, hey, the guy has played well for them at times, but this year has not been one of them. And as you said, he lost his job, thought he'd work back into it, regain his confidence, but that's not going to go over well with Mike Tomlin.
That is the first penalty against the Steelers in the game, as Alex Arma, the fullback, is met in the hole. And a good play is made up front. Jordan Dangerfield, a safety, comes away celebrating. It's second down and goal.
Dangerfield to get a little respect on that play.
Oh, come on. It must be 52 to 14.
It sure is. It's getting late, boys.
I'm proud of you. Second down and goal. McCaffrey. That's his third touchdown of the night. And no celebration by any member of this Carolina offense as they are getting pounded on here in Pittsburgh. 2 touchdowns receiving for Christian McCaffrey, 1 on the ground. He's had a big night, but not many have joined him for Carolina.
Pretty tough sledding. That's going to take some time to get through this film for these coaches and all the areas that they're going to have to get fixed. They got a little time and a few extra days to do it.
3-touchdown night for number 22. Take a break. 5.5 to go in this one in Pittsburgh. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. A look back at the city, and they will be thrilled with the performance of their Steelers here tonight. For Ben Roethlisberger, a franchise record, 88% with his completion percentage in this game. 52-21. Switzer backs up inside the 5 and out of bounds short of the 15-yard line. A return of 10 yards by number 10, and we take a look at tonight's game summary presented by Verizon. Big game by Roethlisberger. Cam Newton, I mean, you can almost throw the numbers out. What's going to stick out for Carolina is the Steelers have scored of 7 of 9 possessions, but the pressure they got on Cam Newton, and then the inability to stop the Steelers doing anything they wanted really offensively all night.
Yeah, the way the Carolina defense played and the way that the Steelers just went through them like Swiss cheese, it didn't really much matter what Carolina was going to be doing on offense. It wasn't going to be enough.
Here's Ridley breaking a tackle in a nice gain. Cam Newton, by the way, had been sacked only 12 times all year coming in, sacked 5 times tonight in this game, and that just tells the beginning of the story. It wasn't just the sacks, it was how many times he dropped back and had players in his face.
Yeah, and like I said, the offensive line had really been playing well, but this Steelers group, they're awfully good, and they've got some outstanding players, as we saw, and they took it to them.
Here's Ridley for a first down. Big news during the week is Dez Bryant signing a 1-year deal with the Saints. And he has the Dallas Cowboys record of 73 career touchdown catches. And oh, by the way, November 29th, Dez and the Saints visit the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington.
Well, you can imagine how much Dez Bryant is looking forward to that matchup. I think it was a good pickup because I think some teams that were looking at Dez maybe were looking at him that needed a #1 guy. He goes to New Orleans as just kind of a piece of the puzzle.
Here's Ridley on first down with a gain of 3.
There was that big game that Michael Thomas had on Sunday, and then Alvin Kamara and Ben Watson. Those are their top 3 guys that they get the ball to. Mark Ingram in the running game, and of course to have a quarterback like Drew Brees. But Sean Payton will do a good job with Dez, and he knows exactly why he's bringing him in. He knows what his strengths are. My guess is he'll be a big target down in the red zone, you know, along with some of those others. But for a guy that they don't have to really lean on the way some of these other teams might have had to, that if they had brought him in, I think it's a heck of a move by the Saints.
Here's another handoff to Ridley. We haven't seen Connor since we saw him exit and go down into the locker room, and for James Conner it appears that that streak of 100+ yard rushing games will end at 4. 13 carries, 65 yards, and a rushing touchdown here tonight. 3rd down and 6. Mike Tomlin made a move. They were good offensively in 2017. But they moved on from Todd Haley as Samuels is ripped to the ground to bring up 4th down. Randy Fichtner was elevated from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator and gets along really well with Ben Roethlisberger, being in that quarterback's room, and Fichtner, an original member of Mike Tomlin's staff here with the Steelers, done a nice job.
Yeah, there was a lot of continuity by naming him as the offensive coordinator. I will tell you, I'm a big fan of Todd Haley's. He just got let go by the Cleveland Browns, but he's done a great job really everywhere he's been as an offensive coordinator, and he had done a good job here. Some of Ben Roethlisberger's best years were under Todd Haley, but a change was made, and Randy Fichtner has done a heck of a job. He's got this offense
Neutral zone
rolling.
infraction, number 54 defense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
And this is quite a performance tonight. They could have had well over 500 yards if they'd kept their foot on the pedal.
Offensive coordinators who work for head coaches with defensive backgrounds have a lot of autonomy. That's the case with Fichtner. That was the case certainly for Todd Haley, Bruce Arians. But Ben is so good and so tough. It's just a different twist on offense, whoever is calling the plays, but Ben takes care of the rest. What a night for the Steelers here tonight. On the other side, not so good. Under 2 to go. Tonight after the postgame show, Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky joins NFL Total Access to talk about this weekend showdown with the Lions. NFL Total Access tonight after the postgame, only on NFL Network. Bears go into that game 5-3, just ahead of Minnesota. They're 5-3-1. The Vikings are on a bye. Green Bay has an important home game against the Dolphins. If they win that, they'll get back to 4-4-1, and we'll have Green Bay and Seattle a week from tonight in Seattle. Taylor Heineke is taken over at quarterback. He hands, and Alex Arma, the fullback, picks up 2. So Heineke, on a night when Cam Newton was sacked 5 times, takes over, and the kid from Old Dominion brought in to back up and gets mop-up time here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the kid from Old Dominion once threw for over 700 yards. So pretty good stuff.
Here's C.J. Anderson. Hargrave on the stop. Just over a minute to go. We look back. This was the first play from scrimmage on offense. 75 yards to Juju Smith-Schuster. Right after that, a pick 6. It was Vince Williams with the pick, taking it in. A big one to Antonio Brown. One on the back of the end zone to Vance McDonald. And Roethlisberger, 22 of 25, 88%, 328 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. This should end the night. C.J. Anderson, L.J. Fort, and good night on a Thursday with the Buffalo Wild Wings postgame show to follow, and a lot of talk about the Steelers. 7 different Steelers scored a touchdown in this game. Pittsburgh 8 for 11 on 3rd down. On the other side, the bright spot for Carolina, Christian McCaffrey with 138 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns. Big Ben gets the victory, and the Steelers now have won 5 in a row, 6-2-1, and leading the AFC North.